And it is my pleasure to welcome back to the Rhema studio Justice Smith. Justin, kia ora. Thanks for your time.
Ngā tamari, yeah, anytime.
Talking about Google Docs and not the documents, but actually Dr. Google. And I mean, it's a season for it, isn't it? You know, where people are coming down with various lurgies. And it's tempting. You know, the health professional you see most often may be on your phone, actually Googling your symptoms and going, oh gosh, that's me. Oh gosh, I must have this thing.
Yeah.
Are you guilty as charged?
You know what? I am. Not actually for myself, though. You know where I'm guilty of it most is with children. And any parent out there knows, when it comes to the kids, you're Googling every single one of those symptoms. Going,
exactly.
Yeah, a runny nose. Is it green? Is that green? Is that green? Hold on. Spots. There's a spot. I didn't see that when I was changing the nappy last, it goes on and on. And
exactly.
That is definitely a thing.
Yeah, and to be fair, I suppose it's just like what we used to do in, tribal communities. We'd say, hey, gosh, we're new at this thing. We've experiencing this new thing. What's the rest of the community think? What are your views and opinions about this new thing that we're experiencing? What's your advice? Except we're doing it with like millions of people, some of whom are dodgy as.
Yeah, totally. And so for me, at least, my second port of call isn't necessarily an online community of like-minded individuals, but funnily enough, tends to be my mother, my mother-in-law. But the point is, they sort of come second to the searching online. Hey, Mum, I've had a look online now. My son's got, how he had that thing? Yeah, look, it's getting a bit, and da-da-da. Anyways, I've had a look online and I'm worried because, it could all be this myriad of 1,000 different, deadly diseases.
Exactly. And you know who really hates Dr. Google? Actual doctors.
Yeah.
Because everyone's turning up, if you can get an appointment with your local GP, that's another issue.
Yeah.
And hey, maybe that's part of the problem, actually, because it's like it's going to take me a couple of weeks to get an appointment with my GP. In the meantime, let's jump on the phone, let's pop in some symptoms. There is an aspect of this, and this is for me personally, a lot of things on the internet, it just goes south really quick.
Yeah.
You go, I've got these symptoms. Maybe it's just a cold, or maybe it's this absolutely terrible terminal condition, which I don't actually have, but the symptoms match. So you tend to worst case scenario when you're on the internet, right?
100%. And especially, it comes down to your personality type as well. We stereotypically say males are terrible at going and getting themselves checked out and sorted out, which we are, and we should be better at, and we should definitely be going to the GP more often. But the other end of the spectrum is, catastrophizing over that little sort of patch that looks a bit sketchy. Yeah, for a lot of people and people close to me is a thing.
Now, one of the other aspects about, I suppose, medical advice online is, as I mentioned, not everyone in the village is, some dodgy people in the internet village. And there are some people that are trying to sell you stuff. There are some influencers, for example, who are saying, hey, I take these supplements and I'm the picture of health. You should take these supplements too. Not only are they not paying for the supplements, they're being paid to talk about the supplements. And a lot of the health advice that we're getting online is actually just people trying to sell us stuff.
Yeah, and that's often a lot of the question when you're interacting with anyone in an online space is, it's kind of true in real life too. What is the motivation for, what's their intention? What's driving them to do the thing that they're trying to do right now? Even in the financial world, say like a broker, a mortgage broker, insurance, whatever, it's important to understand that they actually might have leanings or biases towards one end of the spectrum, either way in terms of service providers because of their affiliation and deals that they have in place with them. Pharmacy and the medical industry is no different, unfortunately.
Exactly. And hey, maybe Big Pharma also has an influence on what your GP is recommending and what they're prescribing and all those sorts of things. And hey, not wanting to throw out the baby with the bathwater, because something which we've seen particularly in the last, I'm going to say 5 years, is some internet communities that have pushed back on that and have said, hey, you don't need to take your doctor's advice because they're all in on this global conspiracy. What you need to do is take natural remedies or drink bleach or do all sorts of X, Y, and Z because everybody else is out to get you. You can only trust me and my medical advice. No, I don't have a medical degree, but at least I'm not part of the system. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, right.
And that's a really tough one because that really muddies the waters. For the most part, the people that are paying the price, the victims in a lot of this, are those who are innocent and actually truly just want to have some resolution
Yep.
to the thing that they're experiencing. And that's the absolute worst of it, absolutely. And we saw that through the COVID years when
Yep.
that was running rife, because it was just so misunderstood. But even with something that is really well understood, say just general lifestyle, going to the gym, your sort of
Yep.
physical health, when there's this wave of sugar-free or gluten-free by choice because of the perceived health benefits, that's similarly an echo chamber of people who influence, people to make radical lifestyle changes, perhaps for digestive reasons or even, what's the word?
Skin conditions.
Skin conditions. Thank
Yeah,
you. That's
exactly.
the one. But that's a huge one as well.
Videos that teach you how to poop properly.
Oh yeah, that's
Exactly.
ergonomic. Yeah, totally. And it's all of these different areas of health, and when it gets to medicine especially, it's really, really dangerous because a lot of times, like you said, you could potentially be dealing with someone who's got a massive potentially major issue happening with them that they've got no idea because it's clouded by communities of bad actors or whatever else that just say do otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a danger as well of self-diagnosis, and I've noticed this particularly in the area of mental wellness and neurodiversity.
Yeah.
Where, hey, you don't need to go to a psychologist anymore to get a diagnosis of ADHD, for example.
Yep, great
you
one.
just do this quiz, and it turns out that you've got a new tribe to belong to because there's some new letters of the alphabet that you can put after your name because you belong to this. And look, I appreciate that this is part of what the internet taps into. Our sense of belonging to a tribe or an organization or being part of a club or being special in some way. But actually having a diagnosis to whether it's a neurological condition or an actual disease, it seems weird that we're signing up to those clubs, right?
Yeah, you mentioned sort of the answer in that because I've done those quizzes too and have had a result that suggests, hey, you might want to go and see someone about this thing. And that's the entirety of the point. My children themselves, using ADHD specifically, they've been medically, diagnosed. And so actually you have a hunch because for us it was through the teachers and education going, hey, you might want to get these things checked out. For my other son was a different thing. But the point was, okay, you can do all those things, have a look online, look at the bar chart, do an online quiz, ask a few questions, do a bit of research, ask some other people online. But at the end of the day, the decision came down to, well, let's go and actually consult a medical professional face-to-face. And thankfully, we had a privileged position where we were able to do that efficiently and came away with the result, which actually did finally give clarity. Because without that actual clinical diagnosis, you still operate with this layer of uncertainty because you haven't actually had definitive answer from the medical profession to say, yeah, no, your assumptions are right. So therefore, your YouTube algorithm can now be flooded with all of this content.
Exactly. And hey, perhaps what they need to put on these quizzes and this Dr. Google is what they put on the infomercials. If the problem persists, see an actual doctor.
Yes.
Hey, very good wisdom and advice. As always, Justin, thanks for joining us.
Anytime.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.